Let's head elsewhere now because Latvia says Russia is carrying out a disinformation campaign against it and other countries, including Lithuania and Estonia. According to Latvia's Ministry of Defense, the campaign focuses on a claim by Russia that the Baltic states are allowing their territories to be used by Ukraine for attacks on Russia. This campaign involves the use of social media, bots, and disinformation aimed at Russian-speaking audiences in the region. DW reports now from Estonia and the city of Narva on the border to Russia. Security services say that Russian speakers there are being targeted by a campaign to leave Estonia.
Small Russian language accounts on Telegram, TikTok and the Russian platform VK have been calling for the Estonian city of Narva to separate from the rest of the country. The so-called Narva People's Republic campaign has gathered speed in recent weeks. The accounts are using memes, separatist symbols and mock Estonian emblems to present Narva as a political entity. But despite the noise online, Estonia's internal security service says the campaign is a cheap information operation designed to provoke and undermine trust. Officials point to previous Russian disinformation tactics. Narva is on Estonia's eastern border, within sight of Russia's 15th century Ivangorod fortress. More than 90% of Narva residents speak Russian daily, and about a third hold Russian passports.
Narva residents are worried about the city's image. They feel that stories like this make us known for the wrong reasons. People here care deeply about their city. Narva's people simply didn't have time right now to invent any kind of stories. What matters to them is how to get by, how to pay their bills for heating, for electricity.
Most of the locals haven't heard about the campaign, and those who have simply dismiss it. To me, it's not serious, just a fake. I don't believe Narva residents want to join Russia, not for a second. None of the people I know think that way. It's rubbish, a fake.
There will always be a small group of people with radical views. Of course, they exist here too, but it's not widespread and certainly doesn't reflect any kind of anti-state mood in the city.
But there is frustration too. Relations between Estonia and Russia have been strained by the war in Ukraine, and many here miss the cross-border ties. But while the ongoing situation adds a general sense of uncertainty, the people in Narva are trying to look to the future.
The city is moving ahead despite these difficult times. When people see cranes on the skyline, it gives them confidence that things will be okay.
For Estonian security services, the online discussion on Narva separating from Estonia is noise. And while the people or organizations behind the social media accounts remain unknown, intelligence officials say there is no concrete evidence that the Russian government is directly involved. But Russia does try to send messages to Narva from across the river in Ivangorod. For several years now, it has staged a large-scale May 9 Victory Day concert within view for Narva residents, complete with Russian pop stars and Soviet symbols, which project patriotic narratives across the shared border. These events draw significant crowds and media attention.
This border, in the middle of the river, marks the meeting point of very different value systems. Narva is at the edge of the free world.
According to Estonian authorities, Narva People's Republic is a fringe disinformation online campaign. It's not a political movement. And in Narva, life carries on as usual, on the quiet front line of Europe's geopolitical divide.
And let's bring in now DW's Riga bureau chief, Juri Rescheto. Juri, you've reported from Narva many times. When you're on the ground there, how visible and how strong is Russia's influence in the city today?
Well, Sarah, what you notice immediately when you come, and especially what you hear, is that Narva is almost entirely Russian-speaking. You still see some signs and writings in Russian as well, and there is a reason for that. The city was almost completely destroyed in World War II and then rebuilt and repopulated by the Soviet Union with Russian-speaking workers from across the USSR. The original Estonian population wasn't allowed to return after 1944. Speaking on the Russian influence today, well, of course, the Russian media play a role. Officially, all Russian TV channels are banned across the Baltics. But let's be honest, it's very easy to get around those bans nowadays with VPN.
In your report, Juri, we heard several people telling you that the idea of a so-called People's Republic of Narva is pure nonsense. So why does this narrative keep popping up?
Well, I think it's important to distinguish, first of all, between calls for autonomy, which pop up in these channels, and calls for joining Russia. And on the ground, in Narva, almost nobody would seriously want to separate from Estonia and join Russia. The people running these accounts seem focused on creating confusion, unsettling the public and injecting these ideas into the conversation. That's, Sarah, how propaganda works. You repeat nonsense once, twice, 10 times, and eventually some people start believing it simply because they've heard it often enough. That's why Estonian authorities take these calls seriously, even if support for them is almost non-existent. And by the way, the mayor of Narva was anything but happy about having to give interviews to Western media in the past few days. She left the coverage. She felt the coverage only made the whole thing bigger.
So we don't know who is actually behind this campaign officially, but if it turns out that Russia is indeed involved, even indirectly, wouldn't the parallels to what we saw in the early days of Donbass be hard to ignore?
Well, those parallels with Donbass 2014 seem on the surface to be illogical. Russian-speaking population here, Russian-speaking population there, calls for independence in Donbass, calls here in Estonia. Even the names, the so-called Donetsk People's Republic and now the supposed People's Republic of Narva. But if you look closer, the situations are very different. Narva is part of Estonia, a member of the EU and NATO for more than 20 years. And the people of Narva have repeatedly elected Katri Raik as their mayor. She's a former Estonian interior minister and definitely not pro-Russia. Yes, many people are frustrated that cross-border life has collapsed. I remember plenty of locals who used to walk across the border with a small bag as if it wasn't even a border. But you see that in other border towns too. And let's be realistic, on the other side isn't glamorous, fancy Moscow, St. Petersburg. It's the rundown little town of Ivangorod, not that attractive.
Juri Rescheto, thank you so much.